Show was shitty for Dorne. Book, great for Dorne. I know you don't have to write in to ask that question now, but you could write in for other things, and you should. I'm done now.
Heyo, and welcome to another episode of Brotherhood Without Manners, a full spoiler reread podcast where we are reading George R.R. Martin's Game of Thrones and later on the rest of the Song of Ice and Fire series. I am Nate, and joining me, as always, my brother, this guy.
Bazinga! Oh, man.
Bazinga?
Bazinga.
You've never said Bazinga before in your life.
Never before in my life.
That's weird.
I hate it.
I
want to redo.
I hate that you said it.
I want a mulligan.
No, not today. So today we're reading 2 chapters again.
Papa,
Dany 2 over in Pentos. And then following that up immediately with Ned 2.
Lord Stark, yes, his second chapter.
Wonderful. So before we get into everything, once again, we are sponsored this week by Game of Thrones Wines, which is fucking sweet.
We're currently enjoying their Chardonnay, which we just opened earlier today. It is a 2016, and it is delicious.
That's a good year. It's a good year.
Very light and airy. Very not too sweet at all. I'm not a big fan of the too sweet wine. This one actually is perfectly in the middle between the alcoholic taste and just the wine sweetness, so I really enjoy that.
Yeah, so if you like wines, if you're looking for something for your new season 8, to enjoy.
The bottles are really cool too, as well as a display piece or anything like that. They just have really intricate, beautiful.
And they're not all that expensive. They're $20 a bottle.
Yeah, $20 a bottle.
This one, the Chardonnay, is actually $19.99. It's even less than the Pinot Noir. They're made by the Vintage Wine Estates, which again is the Game of Thrones wines pairing company. So check them out. Get yourself a bottle or two. They're available pretty much everywhere.
They're delicious.
So, all right. So anything last episode we talked about the trailer a little bit.
Yeah.
Anything new since then?
I mean, just my weird crackpots of me analyzing the trailer, but nothing confirmed as far as I know. I've heard that there's leaks and shit, but I tend to steer away from that. I try to avoid any of the subreddits that tend to allow leaked, especially media stuff, casting stuff, set locations, set dressings. I just don't want to know all that stuff. It feels too meta. Like a trailer. Sure, a trailer is, kind of meant. It's meant to tease us. It's meant to be a wet your whistle for what's to come. But
yeah, the leaks they're a bit much for me. I mean, I definitely enjoy.
Well, especially last season, I got fucking spoiled because of the leak with Viserion's death, with him getting turned by the Night King into the Night Dragon. I guess I don't know, but I got that spoiled for me, and that was actually one of the bigger moments. I would have rather not, because that's a really significant moment, Dany losing one of her dragons. So as much as I still enjoyed watching it, being spoiled on it really sucked. So I don't want to be spoiled on any good goddamn thing for this last season. So
yeah.
Trying to avoid sort of the interwebs now that we're getting into the last couple of weeks here before it starts. Airs.
Yeah. We're like 3.5 weeks. No, we're a little over a month.
Yeah, a little over a month,
but just a little over a month. Yeah, so that's gonna be sweet. And then nothing new from Martin. So no wins released.
Which at this point I'm taking no news is good news.
From what I've heard, he's hunkering down.
From what I've heard, I guess he turned down a cameo scene in this last season.
Yeah, that's what exactly. Yeah,
Winds of Winter, which I mean, I don't really count that as casting. I just think that's kind of neat that he's, he was offered one as a sign of respect, I'm sure. This is
and the fact that he turned it down because he's clearly got more important things.
Yeah, he wants to focus on finishing the books. So, speaking of the books, last week we were joined with Jon and Tyrion when Winterfell was kind of in the midst of everybody leaving. Tyrion had a delightful breakfast with his siblings and nephew and niece.
While Jon was on the other side of the keep.
Saying his goodbyes.
Saying peace.
And he had a interesting interaction with Catelyn and Bran, and then he went and gave Arya her sword, which we all know and love as Needle. Today, we are picking up with...
We're heading back across the Narrow Sea.
Way across the Narrow Sea.
Daenerys Targaryen, she's out there. It's her wedding day. Like, they've clearly, Martin's jumped ahead a little bit, and not that I think it took too long to get everything where it's going, but yeah, she woke up with just dread. She's scared.
Yeah, the opening line it sets us the stage quite nicely for this wedding. It says, Dany wed Khal Drogo with fear and barbaric splendor in a field beyond the walls of Pentos. So yeah, we haven't moved far with Dany at all. We're still in the same city, which is interesting. I always tend to get lost out here in the Free Cities. It can be a bit daunting to kind of keep track of Dany's journey. So reading it a little more analytically, I'm able to kind of say, oh, okay, so they literally just went right outside the walls. That happens for two reasons. One, because the Dothraki and their customs believe that all things of importance in a man's life should be done beneath the open sky, which kind of pertains to their gods and their beliefs and and then it's also happening in the field because Drogo called his entire Khalasar to attend him.
So many people there.
40,000 Dothraki warriors and uncounted women, children, and slaves.
And you've got to imagine that there's probably 2 to 3 times as many women, children, and slaves than there are.
And then I would say, for every 10 humans, there's 4 or 5 animals. It's a massive assembling of these Dothraki, and it gets touched upon that the folk of Pentos are nervous. This is and that's we don't really know too much about the Dothrakis at this point in the book, but this being a reread, we know that the Dothraki sack cities. So when the Pentoshi see this horde of Dothraki
they
coming,
have a right to be nervous.
They have a right to be shitting themselves.
All the different Khalazars.
That's what they're known for. They show up, they either exact their payment or they sack the city and take the city. And sometimes their payment, they'll take the payment and sack the city anyway. So Dany actually is thinking back on the day previously where her, Illyrio, and Viserys were having dinner in Drogo's manse, which was given to them, and her and Viserys until the wedding. Yeah. Which I thought was interesting, just that they've kind of got this palace to themselves, which once was Drogo, but it shows that Drogo would rather be out with his Khalasar roughing it
than inside these walls.
This is when Illyrio kind of offhandedly mentions that the Magistars of the city have doubled the city guard just due to the Dothraki presence.
Which really, the fuck are the Pentos City Guard going to do to stop this?
Jorah even kind of jests with him because Jorah is there as well. Jorah says back to him, well, we better hurry up and get Princess Daenerys married or before the Pentoshi waste all their money on sellswords and free companies and stuff like this. Just basically saying, their city guard isn't going to be enough. So if they're trying to prepare to fight Dothraki, they're going to need they're going to go broke trying to defend themselves.
So it said there when that Jorah joined them, he swore his sword the night Dany was sold to Khal Drogo. Mm-hmm. I thought that was really interesting that it was dropped there that she was sold to Khal Drogo. She belongs to him.
Oh yeah, she's property.
And I think that is going to come into play here at the end, where that's how she's feeling about herself at this point as well.
That tends to get, everyone focuses on the fact that she's young and she doesn't want to do it, but this was straight up a transaction. She was sold for basically the use of Drogo's army, which, that gets touched on here as well. But yeah, it says he had been their constant companion since. So Jorah Mormont, just in pledging his sword, gets a seat at their table, according to Viserys.
So obviously he's going to want to be their constant companion.
Well, from what we learn in Ned's chapter later on, absolutely. But I just think that also shows how pathetic Viserys is. The first person to swear him his sword.
He's immediately his hand of the fucking king.
And speaking of that little prick, Viserys is getting pissed. He doesn't want to wait for the Dothraki. Yes. Illyrio's telling him, they're probably going to want to present her to the Dash Khaleen in Bais Dothrak. The Dothraki do shit in their own time, homie.
Right. And so he says, you'll get your crown.
Just when the omens favor war.
And when the Khal chooses that it's time for you to get your crown. And
even Jorah counsels patience. Is when Jorah says the Dothraki do thing in their own time. Viserys threatens to have Mormont's tongue out because he's not saying anything he likes to hear.
He doesn't want to. You don't want to. He makes the offhanded. You don't want to wake the dragon comment.
Yeah.
Again.
He also then says, and this immediately intrigued me. Viserys says the dragon does not beg, and it then immediately goes to it says Illyrio smiled enigmatically and tore a wing. Gotta turn my page here. Tore a wing from the duck. The grease and sauce running down into his beard as he chewed the soft meat. There are no more dragons, Dany thought, but did not say. So, to me, that looked like a vision of Illyrio consuming a dragon. Like, he tore the wing off of this dog, and smiled enigmatically. The dragon does not beg. But that's all Viserys has been doing. Like, it's just this. I think we really get a glimpse at who Illyrio is here. Is he just kind of enigmatically smiles and so it was just this kind of standout moment for me. But Dany thought there are no more dragons, but she did dream of one that night.
Yes,
this dream, it's super prophetic, right? Like, to me, this is some pretty intense shit that we're getting here.
I mean, it's definitely. It's a dream, and we know that Martin likes to... It is a dream, yes. Very good, you've done
Dany has a dream.
Martin likes to... He likes to convince us that there's more to the dreams than there necessarily
but knowing what we... All right, so this dream, Viserys is hurting her in the dream, hitting her, and she's running away from him. She was naked and clumsy with fear, which I totally get in the dream setting. That moment when you can't get your key into the lock or whatever, you're just... Nothing. Your hands don't seem to work because you're so afraid. She's running from him. He strikes her again, and she falls. And he's constantly repeating, "You woke the dragon. You woke the dragon." He's screaming at her as he kicks her while she's on the ground. It says her thighs were slick with blood, which I have a lot to say on that. Then there came a hideous ripping sound and the crackling of some great fire. Viserys is gone in a gout of a huge column of fire that rises all around her. And in the fire's mist was the dragon, and it turns its head slowly, and it says when its molten eyes met hers, she awoke, sweating and terrified.
Yeah, so I mean, it's definitely, showing her overcoming.
This is the dragon waking
within her. Exactly, yeah. Absolutely.
And so I think it's, she absolutely did wake the dragon. It's just Viserys.
He woke the dragon.
I don't think he has that much power. I think he would like to think he controls her, but in the end, it's her own strength of fortitude.
I guess that's giving him too much credit to, while he tortured her and everything, it's more indirect. He fucked her up enough to need something to rise over and overcome.
Yeah, definitely. It's that obstacle to overcome.
But that's purely her, nothing to do with him.
Yeah, it shows her strength of overcoming that obstacle.
His...
And then just because I'm not sure if the fucked up audio caught it or not, the her thighs being slick with blood.
Right. Yeah.
That's I think a callback to her last chapter in Dance, where I took it to mean as she's wandering in that field that the blood on her thighs meant her menstrual cycle was quickening again, and that Mirri Maz Duur was full of shit. So I just think that that's a comparison.
Do you think that's the point in Dany's storyline where she will wake the dragon, like truly? Like I think she will become the dragon.
She's kind of been simmering in Meereen and not really knowing what to do, where her place is, and all the decisions around her. She's second guessing, and I think out in that field, she's kind of gonna realize herself again and realize what the fuck it is she's overcome, and it's gonna be a direct comparison to this, not necessarily this dream. I think this dream is just kind of helping show some of the similar feelings. But,
right.
So she wakes up into the day of her wedding ceremony, which
she says that she had never, when she woke up, she said she had never been more afraid until her wedding day.
Yeah.
And so it begins at dawn and it continued till dusk, all day event, just endless day of drinking, feasting, and fighting.
Yeah, the Dothraki know how to party, man. It sounds sick.
Yeah.
Dany's seated up by Drogo. She's never seen this many people. She's describing the different horse lords and their painted vests, their horsehair leggings, which I thought was interesting that they're cinched with bronze medallion belts, which I picture to be these big bronze medallions that, in my head, it's the same thing that Drogo melts to later crown her brother.
Oh, yeah.
And it says that Viserys was seated below Dany next to Illyrio and Jorah. But
Yes.
he's
So
also
just-
on the same...
He's just below the Blood Riders
Yeah.
there. That's a high fucking honor.
For the Dothraki, yeah,
like,
definitely.
that's a high honor to be seated there. But
You're seated next to the Khals blood of his blood. Like, that ain't no shit.
he's basically putting you at the level of his family.
But this entitled little shit just is getting more pissed as, Dany and Drogo are getting their offerings of the food first. Dany's not taking anything because her stomach's so upset over the fear. But...
Yeah. So he's getting second pickings.
Yeah, as second pickings because he's the king, but so he's getting pissy. And Dany just thinks that she had never felt so alone at this point. She's trying to hide and hold back her tears for fear of her brother's reaction and of Drogo. She doesn't know what he would do.
But at the moment, he's just ignoring her completely.
He's paying her no mind.
Which doesn't help that there's the language barrier, that she only speaks Valyrian in the common, and he only speaks Dothraki at the moment.
Yeah, there's just there's no way to break this communication barrier. So Dany's just sitting quietly through it all, reminding herself, I am Daenerys Stormborn, blood of the dragon, all the Targaryen nonsense that she needs just to give herself some inner strength. And then it says, the sun was only a quarter of the way up the sky when she saw her first man die. And that's when we get into the way the Dothraki like to feast.
Yeah.
So there's some... I'm guessing some relatively decent-looking ladies dancing, entertaining the Khal and the Khaleesi now with their gyrating movements, and it's very sensual. And a warrior grabs one lady and just takes her there, and that's the way these Dothraki do it. And Dany's a little embarrassed. She turns away from it. She's a little embarrassed. She was warned by Illyrio that this would probably occur and that the Dothraki mate like animals in their herds. They do not understand sin or shame as we do.
Right.
They don't care. They're
after like 3 more dudes come for the same lady, she's like, she couldn't not watch anymore.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
She just kind of...
two warriors try to grab the same dancer, and that doesn't go down well for either of them, so they begin fighting using the traditional Dothraki Araks, which are a sweet weapon. Yeah. They fight for a minute, and then one gets opened from backbone to belly button, spilling his entrails. And then it, just to show how, callous they are to it, the winner actually turns and grabs a different dancer and takes her
Not even the one they were fighting over.
So,
Somebody
it didn't even matter. But she was then thinking how Illyrio told her that Dothraki's, this is pretty normal for the wedding, and he gives the
old famous line. So she also mentions right after that she says the Dothraki are like animals. They're basically beasts in human skins and not true men at all.
Yeah, to her their ways are alien and monstrous. It really is terrifying her. It's almost paralyzing her. And the fear is mounting. She's afraid of her brother, but most of all, she's terrified of what's going to happen that night when her and Drogo.
Which, fuck, she's 13.
She's 13.
He's he's the fucking Hulk. Like, the Hulk is about to grab this tiny little 13-year-old and just do unspeakable things.
At
least that's how she's in.
Yeah, absolutely. Losing your virginity for the first time is kind of a daunting experience for anyone. Especially if it's not warranted, that just takes it up a whole nother level.
And then throw in that he's a warlord.
She is way too young for this to be happening, and he is this barbaric, to her, alien and monstrous veteran of savagery.
War, sex, beast, just whatever terrifying. It is that they do, yeah.
Yeah, she gives a description of him as a hulking giant with a face as still and cruel as a bronze mask. I'm terrified for her, but she continues suffering the feast, and then the sun...
Before that has to happen, she gets to at least get some presents.
The sun goes low in the sky, and Drogo ends the drumming and the feasting and pulls her to her feet. And it's time for her bride's gifts. And she's afraid because she knows after the gifts, it would be the first ride in the consummation, but we'll deal with the nice gifts first. So everyone kind of forms this procession and brings up what they got for her.
So the Beggar Prince comes up first, and
the Beggar King, come on,
whatever, and he gave 3 handmaidens. specially
Which
chosen,
Illyrio paid for.
which Illyrio paid, obviously. And she knows. Like, and again, there's that 13-year-old
Yep.
with the perception of a...
Yeah, he's got nothing
like,
to give.
She knows. But he doesn't act like he... like it's not from him directly.
Yeah, no,
And so he gave the three handmaidens, which we'll come to know quite well, and he mentions that they were hand chosen for specific reasons.
Yeah.
One to teach her how to ride, one to teach her how to speak Dothraki, and one to teach her how to fuck like a champ.
So we got Eerie, who's gonna teach her riding.
Right.
We got Jeekwe,
Jeekwe.
Will teach her the Dothraki tongue, and Doria will teach her the womanly arts of love. Eerie and Equi, or Jeekwe, whichever the hell it is, I'm sorry for butchering it, they are both Dothraki. Doria is a Lanisi woman. I just thought that was interesting that the woman that's teaching her the womanly arts of love isn't Dothraki, because they're barbaric and savage. It's also mentioned that both Viserys and Illyrio can attribute to her womanly arts, which is just fucking foul to me.
Because Illyrio's a fucking
that's
vile...
it. And then you've got the Beggar King himself, who just... Ugh.
Yeah, like...
So, she gets those, which, I mean, obviously, there's the undercurrent of he's giving her 3 people as a gift, like, and that's
Here's some slaves.
Yeah, that's terrible in itself, but they actually, us knowing Dany, she's kind to them, and they actually do all teach her quite a bit. So then Jorah Mormont comes up, and he gives her a small stack of books.
This was interesting.
He apologizes. As a hedge knight, as an exiled knight, he really can't do much. But there's songs and histories of the 7 kingdoms, all written in the common tongue. And Dany thanks him profusely with all her heart. This is a thoughtful, great gift, I think, for someone who yearns for home and has never really seen it or doesn't really know. A
history of that.
Songs and histories, I mean, they're going to be embellished and some might not be true, but just to learn a little bit of home, I think it's a great gift. This is when...
the next great gift comes up.
Yeah.
Illyrio
comes up. Well, he has brought up a great cedar chest.
That still weighs less than he does.
Yeah, no shit. And it says, in it were piles of the finest velvets, so these great clothing, gowns, I'm sure, dresses, all sorts of shit. But resting on top were 3 huge eggs.
Dragon eggs.
These things are beautiful, patterned in rich colors. So large, she needs both hands to hold one. At first, she thinks they're jeweled, because when the sun's catching them, they glint and sparkle.
And they're heavy.
But she realized it's just the scales on them and the way the light
hits them.
Yeah, so one egg is a deep green, one is a pale cream streaked with gold, and the last was black as midnight sea with scarlet ripples. These are fucking cool.
They're awesome.
It's a really cool gift. It's really cool having Red Fire and Blood, because I now believe I know exactly where these eggs fucking came from as well, which is Neato Skeeto.
He would be allowed to mention it here, but I haven't finished up
Fire
and Blood yet.
Even started,
and so
Fire
he's not
Blood.
allowed to spoil it for me.
So we can't go that far into spoilers yet, but
soon.
If you've read Fire and Blood, you might have an idea of who Melissa Farman is and all that fun stuff. But Illyrio tells her that these are dragon eggs, Khaleesi, from the Shadowlands beyond Ashai. Beyond Ashai. The eons have turned them to stone, but they are still beautiful. And Dany says, I shall treasure them forever. This, again, is actually another thoughtful gift, depending on Illyrio's motives.
So I think that he thought they were just useless ornamental.
And so it's a nice
eggs.
tie back to her Targaryen lineage of Fire and Blood and the Dragon Riders. So it actually is a really, really nice gift. So the Call's Blood Riders step up next.
And this is more ceremonial.
Yeah, they give her what's called the 3 traditional weapons. And they're beautiful weapons, she says. There's a leather whip with a silver handle, an arrock chased in gold, and a double-curved dragon bone bow, taller than she was. But this is kind of just a show, because as per tradition, Dany has been coached to deny these gifts
and pass them on to her husband.
They're beautiful gifts, but they're not worthy of me, because I am but a woman, which
with the
misogyny again comes up. But yeah, what use would she have for weapons? So she gifts them to her Call, which is the intended. Everybody knows that's going to happen. It's not some surprise thing. There were other gifts given as well, slippers and jewels and silver rings for her hair, and just so much stuff where even she's like, I will never be able to use even half of these things that are piling up. And it piles all around her.
Then the talk of the town,
the final gift.
The real gift comes out.
Drogo goes and gets her final gift and brings forth a horse, a young filly, as gray as the winter sea with a mane like silver smoke. This, again, is actually another really, really nice gift.
Now, it's bigger than any horse she's ever
this is, and we even get, like, it's like one of the pride horses. She has to have a decent horse because she is now Khaleesi to the call, and the Khaleesi has to have a horse that will match the call. It needs to be, sort of elevate her status.
She can't be riding around on a fucking donkey.
Yeah, exactly. So Drogo tells her then, and it's translated for her, that the horse is silver for the silver of her hair, which is, again, just thoughtful. You know, he was taken with her beauty and the beauty of her hair, so he matched the horse to that. And he easily lifts her and sets her on the saddle. She doesn't really know what to do here, but Jorah just tells her, just ride, like, you won't go far. And so she then thinks to herself that she's only...
What a magical moment. This is great.
There you go. She thinks to herself that she's only a fair rider, which, harking back to...
her first
chapter when she was at the stables, I tend to think if she's not a fair rider, that she associates freedom with it. It's the freedom of riding that she really enjoys.
Yeah.
Even if she's not that good at it. But praying she doesn't fall, she goes, and it says for the first time in hours she forgot to be afraid. Which,
but then it finishes up, or perhaps it was the first time ever.
Like, you can almost feel how freeing it is. Like, as soon as that horse starts going, she doesn't have to worry about anything because she's just running as fast as she can. She finds herself speeding up, but it's more exciting than terrifying.
Yeah.
Even though she's not that good at riding, the horse responds to her lightest touch. Dany really is enjoying this ride. So she's...
Well, and the crowds, too. Like, 'cause at first they're just, like, whatever and watching, but, like, the more she's getting into it...
They start to part, and they're cheering at her, and they're getting fired up with her. Yeah. She charges right toward a fire pit, and it's like her horse suddenly gains wings as she just soars right over it.
Which, like, fuck, man. You're jumping on this big old war horse, you're 13, you're just decent at riding to, like, do this kind of stuff. Like, it has to have an impact.
I mean, that's the most amount of control she's had in her life in a long time. Even though it is just a horse, you know, she finally is able to take control. So she stops and she tells Illyria to tell Drogo, he has given me the wind, which...
It sums up her.
Yeah, that's such a good, you know, the wind that's, you know, going to
and like
fly.
It's so Dothraki. Like, it's just such a good compliment.
Yeah,
to be
absolutely.
Able to, like, because as a horse lord, he'll understand.
Like, to that, Drogo smiles for the first time. The first time that Dany's seen when she tells him that, and so Drogo begins preparing his own horse to ride off, and who fucking comes up a dipshit, and he digs his fingers into her leg, which I actually always have thought that's fucking bold as shit.
In front of the cow.
Right in front of all the Dothraki, he is grabbing the Khaleesi, right? Like, you know, it hasn't been consummated, but this is their fucking wedding ceremony. If any one of these people, I have to believe, saw him hurting her, he'd probably lose the fucking hand. So I always just think that's bold. I mean, he's too stupid to know. It's not bravery or anything, but...
And then, so at that point, he goes up to warn her. Don't fuck it up.
Yeah, please him. You know, give him what he wants. Be obedient, and not for any concern out of you, because I want my army. And it says the fear came back to her then. Her brother helped bring all that fear
that she was just so freed from while she was riding around on her silver.
So her and Drogo ride out together at dusk. He says absolutely nothing, and Dany just keeps going through her... I am Blood of the Dragon, I am Daenerys Stormborn, you know, all this stuff to try to help keep herself brave. They stop beside a stream, and this is when Dany kind of begins crying. This, like, it's real now. They're stopped. This is where it's gonna happen.
And then this whole thing is all basically a lot of the same. I'm not. Yeah, essentially, he just shows a side that Dany nor we have seen or expected from.
Yeah, he's very gentle. Man. He doesn't immediately just ravage her clothes off,
and he just keeps telling her no. And so you're like, oh, she's crying, no, and he's you're assuming.
But he's wiping her
taking
tears as he's
right.
doing,
And so
he is
that's
gentle. And Dany even notices it.
She can sense it.
Yeah.
In there. And in his tone, because he starts, so they do the little ceremony. He starts taking his braids out.
Yep.
She helps him with his hair. And then he starts mumbling when he's undressing her, talking to her. And she says that, like, she doesn't understand what he's saying, but it's calming. It's a soothing,
there's a warmth in his tone, a tenderness she had never expected from him.
Right.
Yeah, he's not just savaging her. He's being very... I mean, it's fucking disgusting. She's underage, like, as far as our society, she's underage, you know, it's awful. But he's being kind. He isn't raping her.
I think it's to directly contrast that just before they left on their ride, Viserys is sitting there talking about these savages, but he's the only one that's caused her any physical harm so far.
Yeah, no one's hurt her here.
Savage is the one that's gently treating her well. It's, you know, it's his bride. He respects her.
So he gets her clothes off and he's just very delicately checking her out. And then as, you know, they're about to do the dirty, he asks her and she says she took it as a question. And he asks her no. And at this point, she's kind of gotten into it.
She's definitely gotten into it.
And she says yes. And then she leans into him and they do the dirty. So he kind of coerced her into it. And not in a, you know, do it or I'm going to hurt you way, but in a, you know, being gentle.
This is how I plan on,
and so it actually ends on a very tender note, which is shocking for what you expect of her wedding a barbarian type. So, going from the wedding to news of the wedding, we get Ned's second chapter. Ned is awoken before dawn, it says. Alan had roughly shaken him awake from sleep at the king's summons. So, Ned gets out of bed, and he heads outside. He notices that Robert's already mounted on his horse and dressed in just heavy fur cloak and gloves and hood that covers his ears.
He's ready for him.
He looks like a fucking bear riding a horse is basically what Ned's getting at, which I thought was just a funny line. Robert says that they have matters of state to discuss and that Ned needs to go. So Ned says, well, like, come on in. And Robert's like, nah, nope. He says, camp is full of ears and I want to ride out and taste this country of yours. Robert's no fool, which is interesting because he's painted as the fool, but...
He understands that there's people conspiring.
Untrustworthy people, which is, it's interesting because of what's going on with his wife and his children. I mean, he's blind to certain things, but not to others. But Ned notices Sir Boros, Sir Mandon, and a bunch of guards with him. So at that point, he really has no choice. They're already mounted.
Yeah,
so
they're ready to go.
They go. Robert's riding hard as fuck. He just wants to be gone. Ned manages to keep up behind him, but very soon after, they leave the King's Road behind, and Robert's guard falls back a little bit. But Robert still doesn't slow. He keeps pushing. They're many miles south of the main party, and dawn is just starting to break when they actually stop for the first time.
Right.
And Robert's loving it.
Yeah, and he even jokes that, like, we could dip, yo.
Yeah, no,
we could just go forever.
He's flushed with excitement. He's panting. He's and he says to Ned, he wanted to ride like a man, not creep along in that goddamn wheelhouse that Cersei brought. And then he says, which was fucking hysterical, that if it breaks one more damn axle, he's just gonna burn the thing and Cersei can walk.
And Ned's like,
I'll happily light the torch for you, which I thought was interesting. Like, is that just to spite Cersei because he doesn't like Cersei? I think so too. But it makes me think that this is what they were like when the rebellion was at, you know,
exactly.
And before this is what Robert wanted.
And that's funny because then Ned's like, you know, I would love to, but we got shit to do now, man.
Yeah, we got
responsibilities, and we're not the boys that we once were. And then Robert was like, Ned, you were never the boy that you once were. Like, you were never.
I had to like reread and deconstruct that sentence.
Yo, I loved that line.
Yeah,
like, it's so good.
I didn't get what it meant, and then I got what it meant.
Yeah, and so basically, Ned has always been Ned.
Ned has always been this honorable as fuck. Right. Yeah, just
Ned was Ned regardless of how old he was or.
So Robert begins listing off whores. Asking after Ned's bastard's mother's name. Ned finally gives him an answer of Willa. But he doesn't want to speak of it. Just let it go. Like, that's all you'll get out of me.
You'd sooner not speak of her.
We get the great line. She must have been a rare wench if she could make Lord Eddard Stark forget his honor, even for an hour.
And Ned's mouth tightens in anger.
Yeah.
About this shit. And he refuses it because Robert's like, so what? You never did tell me what old Willa there looked like. And he's like, nor will I. The end.
Yeah, no, he begs Robert, leave it alone. And Robert, says, and kind of being a bro, you're too hard on yourself. We were at war, but, if you don't want to push it, I won't push it. Let's get to the point. I didn't bring you out here to fucking harp on your bastard and,
So...
Yeah, so Ned points out these long, low hummocks of grass on the hills and plains before him.
Yeah, these, the barrows is... Because he mentions how the north is old. And I think that when he asks if they went into a graveyard, like, Ned's also saying, there are lots of people buried here. It
was Robert who asked if we stepped...
Right, well, that's what and so Ned is responding and, like, confirming.
Yes, oh, yeah, some of them probably have dead first men.
Yeah, it's a big place. And that just makes me wonder how much...
Fodder is already
ammo is
south.
There for the Night King.
Oh yeah, definitely
have access.
If there's these sort of crypts of the first men,
everywhere,
these barrows of the first,
and he says they're old.
They're everywhere in the north. Yeah. So Robert, he wants to get down to the nitty gritty. He tells Ned that there was a rider in the night from Varys in King's Landing, and this is when we get our first little bit about Varys. Ned has a thought that says Varys the eunuch was the king's master of whisperers, as he was Aerys Targaryens before him. So we immediately get this. Ned's a little wary of him because he was willing to serve both the kings. Yeah, Ned immediately thinks it has something to do with Lysa's accusation, but luckily
after reading it,
there's no mention of that.
And so his immediate response is, "Where's this info coming from?"
Yeah, who'd you get this info from?
And boom, bomb drop.
Robert answers with Sir Jorah Mormont. You remember him, don't you? Which of course Ned very well remembers.
The thing that I gathered from this little part here that seemed the most significant to me was that it was only 5 years ago that he was exiled.
Yeah.
For some reason, I've always thought it was like fucking 20 years or some shit. 5 years ago. After the rebellion, the king is the king. Like, it's not that long.
Yeah, so 5 years get that history a bit where the Mormonts of Bear Island are a pretty impoverished house. They're not the best off. Jorah tried to fill the coffers a bit by selling some poachers to a Tyroshi slaver. Since the Mormonts are the bannermen of the Starks, Jorah dishonored the North with that. They don't sell people into slavery. That's the free city shit, not in Westeros. So Ned went all the way up to Bear Island only to find Jorah had fled on ship.
She's like,
that was 5 years ago. So Jorah's been in the free cities for about 5 years.
And so, now he has turned spy.
Yeah, Robert says, he's in Pentos now trying to earn a pardon by, feeding us information. And clearly we get it that it's on Daenerys Targaryen. Jorah's being a spy for Robert on the Targaryen children that he knows are left.
Now, then comes at first I took it as a rare moment of cruelty, like how Robert is, the Targaryens must die. He was like, I'd rather see a corpse.
Yeah.
He'd rather he be a corpse. But then I thought about it, and it's just honorable Ned.
Yeah.
He broke the law, he should be beheaded.
Yeah.
That's why he'd rather see a corpse. Not because he thinks that anybody deserves a pardon.
Regardless
of what they're doing. No, he broke the law, he should be dead.
But Robert is pissed that Daenerys has wed Khal Drogo. He's concerned about this, and Ned thinks that Robert's hatred of the Targaryens was a madness in him. And Ned kind of goes back in time to when Tywin presented Rhaegar's dead wife and children as a token of fealty.
So I noticed throughout this chapter, and it's going to really come to a head here now that we're getting to this point, that Ned has been on edge. To me, it almost seems like he wants to enlighten Robert and fill him in, and so there's just these little subtle clues.
I mean, even later on with Jaime Lannister, he says that, the time has come to fill him in on what I saw. But I think he's definitely kind of towing the line of what he wants to say here. So Ned thinks back to when Tywin presented Rhaegar's dead wife and children as a token of fealty to Robert. Ned had named it murder. Robert had called it war. When Ned said that they were only babes, Robert replied, I see no babes, only dragon spawn. Robert is literally willing to kill children over this hatred he has of Targaryens. That's what we're meant to get here. there is nothing this man won't do if he believes someone has Targaryen blood, which...
So this caused a big
Yeah,
tear in the
Ned left that
relationship.
day. He was
I
done.
never really thought about that or remembered hearing about that. He was done. He
said even John Arryn couldn't really talk any sense into Robert. And yeah, Ned left the capital that day. He was done. And he went and continued fighting the other wars in the south. It had taken another death to reconcile them. And that was poor little Lyanna's. They said this time Ned meant to keep his temper when they were talking about this, though. So he mentions to Robert, you are no Tywin Lannister to slaughter innocents. You're not that kind of person, Robert.
And just talks about the... Is that where he talks about the sack?
About the... Ned first goes into the children. He thinks about how Rhaegar's daughter had cried as she was dragged from under the bed to the swords. But the son was just no more than a babe and was ripped from his mother and his head was dashed against the wall. Which is such a savage fucking way of writing.
Yeah.
I can't ever imagine someone just grabbing a baby and just
fucking
do it.
Just doing it.
Robert fears that Dany's going to start breeding, spread her legs, and have children who are going to challenge him. And Ned thinks that the murder of children is unspeakable. And this sends the king into a rage. Unspeakable, is it? What the Mad King did to your brother and father, that was unspeakable.
Right. And so this is where he mentions the Enlightenment part.
Well, he mentions Rhaegar. He goes, how many times do you think he raped your sister? How many hundreds of times? And that's when we get the line, I will kill every Targaryen I can get my hands on. And Ned says, well, you can't get your hands on this one.
So, is he talking about Dany?
No, I think
or is he talking
absolutely
about Jon?
He's thinking. I think he's talking about Dany thinking about Jon. Robert's. It's a madness. Ned says that it's a madness in him. If Robert ever found out that,
and so I think that the which I'll go into that when we finish up with this.
If Robert ever found out that Jon Snow might be, because he, and again, when you're reading this the first time, you're led to believe Rhaegar raped her a lot. But Ned doesn't react like that.
It's his sister, and he's not.
It's his sister who he loved more than anything. Robert thinks that he should have just killed Dany and Viserys years ago, but he listened to Jon Arryn, that poor, damnable, honorable fool like Ned Stark. It would have been much easier back then. But Robert starts going through Drogo's numbers, the size of his Khalasar, and Ned reminds him, they have no ships, Robert. It's one of my favorite lines.
They have no ships.
They have no ships, Robert. Ned's kind of getting a little irritated. And even if they do, we'll throw them back into the sea. He says, the Dothraki don't sail. Everybody knows that about them. So Ned kind of subject shifts into naming a Warden of the East.
Yes.
And Robert gets pissed, saying, I'm not naming that sickly little kid. I know you want him to be, but...
And so then Ned mentions his brother again, Stannis, and we quickly find out, technically, though, that Ned knows that he's bullshitting.
That's where I have a question. Do you think that the king looks uncomfortable because he has someone he already chosen, or because Ned brings up Stannis?
I think it's a both, but...
Because I really do think Robert gets that uncomfortable at the mention of his brother.
Yeah.
I think him and Stannis are just so prickly they're so contrasting.
I think that, definitely because he mentioned that, having Stannis be the warden, giving his brother power when I still think he gave him fucking Dragonstone instead of giving him Storm's End like he should have.
But Ned suspects that he's already named someone, and Robert confirms it while riding off that, it's Jaime Lannister. Okay.
Ned is not down with that.
NBD, it's just Jaime Lannister.
For all the obvious reasons. Having the Lannisters control, be the warden of the East and West. They have control of half of the kingdom's armies.
Yeah. Robert says, I'll deal with that when it comes to the table. It's already done, so don't vex me on this shit, Ned. Just fucking deal. And Ned just says, can Jaime be trusted, are you 100% sure that you can trust Jaime?
So now, I think that this next story that he's going to tell is his bullshit way of, instead of saying, because he kept saying, should I tell him? Because Ned's reaction to this, because it really, we'll go through it in more detail here, but it comes down to Ned finding him on the throne. And he thinks that's the big deal, and Robert laughs that off.
Yeah, he does.
Because it's not a big deal.
No.
It's nothing. I don't think that's what Ned had actually intended to tell him. That would have been, you don't know, you weren't there. Because he wasn't there at the tower. He doesn't know the Targaryen. He has this hatred.
He doesn't know the whole story.
He has the blind hatred towards Rhaegar. It's unnecessary.
Yeah.
It's not warranted, technically. But anyway, so back to the story. Ned recounts the
Robert's, as Ned asks if Jaime can be trusted, Robert says that basically Jaime's success is tied to his own. He's of the King's Guard. He needs a king to guard. He really will only have power if Robert is in power. And Ned thinks that's how it was with Aerys, dude. And Robert says, his sword helped me to win this throne that I sit on. And Ned said, his sword helped to taint the throne you sit on.
Yes.
Which I think is a great quote. And then, Ned goes into the story of... during the rebellion, most every house had taken a side, either the rebellious side or the Targaryens. The Lannisters, however, did not. They remained aloof from the war, ignoring calls for aid on both sides. So when Tywin and all his forces showed up outside King's Landing, Aerys must have been psyched to see him outside the gates, thinking his old friend and Hand of the King had returned to help them. So he opens the gates, and Tywin sacks the city immediately. Again, Robert's not too concerned that happened. He says that Aerys kind of deserved treachery. He dealt in treachery, so he deserved to deal with a little of his own from Tywin. But that's when Ned says the quote, "You weren't there."
So, the ending, do you have that whole quote there? Or just the "you weren't
about
there"?
About the troubled sleep?
Yes.
Yeah.
So, why don't you read that for us?
Then goes, troubled sleep was no stranger to him, speaking of Ned. He had lived his lies for 14 years, yet still they haunted him at night. I mean...
He's not being haunted by Jaime Lannister sitting on that throne.
Yeah, no. And he had lived his lies. There's nothing he lies about in this story.
Yes, this is all 100%
there's something
true.
Completely unrelated.
And so, that's, since we're just about done anyway, I feel that this chapter by Martin was written to show us that there's something going on.
There's a lot people don't know about the rebellion.
Big story going on, because there's... Once you've reread it, because going through, it's perfectly okay to take it at face value. Mm-hmm. What we're supposed to see, what George wanted us to initially see, and that's Robert's hatred towards Targaryens. He's going to kill, all of them. They're bad people. They raped the sister. You almost overlook the fact that Lyanna is supposed to be Ned's favorite sibling, and that he would do anything for her. But
and
why
Ned
isn't he getting so fired?
Resentment. Yeah, Ned's family was burned alive by these people,
and so then this honorable Ned, he talks about the lies, but as you mentioned, there's not a lie about this story with the Lannisters. That's all correct. Lies are going to come with Willa, and who the fuck she is, and Jon, and Lyanna, and Rhaegar, and so it's the way that
and Ned besmirching his honor,
right?
Like Ned did not
by lying and keeping a Targaryen alive.
It's a fucking savage game Martin's playing here. And then in the very next line, Robert, gets pissed about Lyanna again, and Ned says, "You avenged Lyanna at the Trident," and then the very next line in his head, it's italicized. It says, "Promise me, Ned."
Right. And so that's actually, I think that's where he was really thinking about saying, Rhaegar is innocent.
Yeah.
You shouldn't have this grudge, but then he had to remind himself that he promised Lyanna, and that Jon wouldn't be safe if he revealed
That's it.
anything.
That's his, you need to toe this line. Promise me, Ned. You need to keep this a secret. Promise me, Ned. He is mad over killing Targaryens. Promise me, Ned, you won't fucking tell him that my son is a Targaryen and he can kill him. Robert laments a little bit about how the gods basically mocked him. He wanted the girl but got a crown instead. I think that perfectly sums up Robert fucking Baratheon as
absolutely.
king.
But then
Ned jumps back into his story. He had entered the throne room, and Aerys was dead in a pool of his own blood. Ned Stark is on his horse, and he sees Jaime Lannister seated on the Iron Throne, his sword across his legs, still bloody red with the king's blood. So Ned does not dismount. He slowly rides up with his men behind him, and the Lannister men kind of shrinking back as he advances. Ned rides up and just kind of stares at him for a minute. No words are exchanged, and then Jaime...
Did you mention that the Lannisters had raised their banners?
Oh yeah, no, I didn't. Landing? Yeah, their banners were
not the stag that they were fighting for, or
Tywin raised the lion.
Tywin raised the lion. Yeah. After staying out of and aloof from the entire battle the whole time, they sacked King's Landing and put their banner up.
Yeah, they sacked the capital and put their banner up. And Jaime finally laughs and tells Ned that he was, don't worry, Stark, I was just keeping it warm for our friend Robert. And then that kind of wraps up the story.
That amuses the hell out of Robert.
Robert laughs outrageously, thinking, Jaime was young, that doesn't it's killing kings is tiring work, he wanted to sit down for a second.
And so I think this is the most telling part, that even Robert sees through the bullshit. That's not a reason to hate them or to distrust them or of all the reasons but Robert doesn't think of that. He just calls
Ned starts grasping at straws, pulling up the point that he was king. He was sworn to defend his king, and Robert even says someone had to kill fucking Aerys. Someone was gonna do it. So does it really matter if it was one of his Kingsguard? Because honestly, I could even see Sir Barristan doing it. If with what Aerys wanted, what we know of Aerys as well. Robert isn't wrong here. Someone needed to fucking kill him.
Absolutely.
So Jaime is and Ned is incorrect in this story.
And I think that's a big part of it.
And I think he's just bullshitting. Ned is just trying to
he's filling in gaps because he's trying to prevent any kind of truth or realization about what he was actually thinking about discussing coming out.
Poor Ned. But Robert gets tired of this shit and just rides off. He's done. Ned gets filled with a helplessness. He thinks to himself he can't change the king. The king's gonna do what he wants to do.
Even Jon Arryn couldn't change.
Jon Arryn couldn't do it. And that's it. But he thinks to himself he belongs at Winterfell with Catelyn, with Bran,
and
his
then
family.
They close the chapter out with this awesome quote, which is so good. A man could not always be where he belonged, though.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's cool to how Jon Snow with the advice he gave, different roads often lead to the same castle. Yep. And so it's again Ned and Jon having these very similar wisdom based perceptions
and just kind of resignation of their situations, because Ned rides off, he goes off after the king and the chapter ends. Ned's gonna stick by his bro to see this out. He can't abandon him, regardless of all the shit. So yeah, it's a great tie back to Ned's nephew, as we think it is. So time for inductees.
Yeah. So for Dany, I haven't thought about these. I never come to
all right. So for Dany, mine is going to Ser Jorah Mormont. I'm not a big fan of Book Jorah much, just because of how creepy and rapey he is. But I thought the gift was insanely thoughtful. If, for some reason I had no knowledge of where I came from or anything, stories and songs and histories, I think would be, very endearing. I want to know about where I come from. I want to know their histories. I want to know the songs they sing. What is the Bear and the Maiden Fair? It sounds dope. So he's just helping her, kind of get in touch a little bit more with her Targaryen history, her Westerosi history. So I just thought that was a wicked thoughtful gift. Wicked thoughtful gift, Jorah. To the Jorah, you're so good at gift giving, Jorah.
So all right, I'm gonna give it my Daenerys inductee to the first guy who got the kill at the Dothraki wedding, because somebody had to kick off these festivities.
Start that shit off.
And he's the one that made sure, spearheaded the campaign to prevent a dull affair.
See, and I'd just be the guy just sitting there with a chicken wing, I don't want to fight, I just want to eat.
I just want this big old fucking turkey leg right here.
So what about Ned? Ned, give you
Ned. Yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and give it to Robert's horse.
Robert's horse?
Because that poor horse has a fucking bear riding it, pushing it to its limits. That motherfucker could pull some wagons for us. He needs to be in the Brotherhood. Robert's horse gets it for this week for me.
Damn. Mine's going to Varys. The Master Whispers, for absolutely accurately giving detailed information about something we literally learned last chapter. I think that Martin intentionally does that to show us how quick Varys can work. We read this Dany chapter, she gets married. The very next chapter, the king is getting a letter saying, hey, Daenerys Targaryen just got married.
So,
Like,
and it's
yeah,
so-
I'm sure there was a couple days. Obviously, there was a couple days between these.
Well,
chapters,
yeah, I mean, it's not Mermaid Varys swimming back and forth
Varys
to
is
get
handling
things
his
across.
shit and doing what exactly as he's titled.
I
being the
also
Master
think
of
it's good to
Whispers.
show how quickly Jorah is writing
Off
up this
to,
information
do
to
that.
provide it, and so
So yeah, Varys, welcome to the Brotherhood for this week from me.
perfect. All right, so
Decent
that's
little conglomerate going here.
that's another couple episodes. So as always, we appreciate you guys hanging out and listening. We really appreciate Game of Thrones Wines and Vintage Wine Estates for sponsoring the episode, hooking us up with some of these delicious beverages.
Yeah, they're really good.
So make sure you guys are writing into us, letting us know who you think should be inducted. If you have any theories, if you have any thoughts on the chapters, if you're reading along. Our next chapter, I believe, is what, Tyrion 2?
That's what I'm attempting to find out.
Oh, so it's going to be at the bookmark.
So Tyrion 2,
and then we
Cat 2
and Cat
3?
Cat 3?
Cat
3,
So
something like
Tyrion 2, Cat 3.
that. So, write us an email, send us an instant message, a Raven, or hit up the Werewood Network, like whatever. Get a hold of us, however.
Smoke signals.
Smoke signals. Zach reads smoke signals. We're on Twitter. Twitter is at Manners Without. Our Instagram's at Brotherhood Without. We like to have a lot of things without.
Yep.
Facebook.com/Brotherhood Podcast. Patreon.com/Without Manners. And then iTunes reviews, guys. Those are so great.
Yeah, those will help us out a ton. We're also on Spotify. Pretty much any
platform.
Player
that
FM.
you can
You can find us pretty much
all
anywhere
that
now.
stuff, and then our email address, you can always get a hold of us at withoutmannersbrotherhood@gmail.com.
Hey, look at that. He got it right.
Oh, yeah, I have it written down there. Next time I should
Jackass.
check in that.
Well, guys, we again, we're just having such a blast with this podcast. So write us in so we can have more interactivity.
Yeah, I'm so sick of this fucker. All he does is talk. I know it's a podcast.
With the trailer blowing up, it's just been so fun in the community lately anyway. So I would love to just have some people to write in, other thoughts. This book is so good, especially going into the mindset of the last season of the show. And, just with Winds of Winter possibly on the horizon.
Not to mention, guys, it's a full spoiler reread. So you don't have, if you have questions about further books and how they might correlate to this book, or just random ideas on,
you want to know if we like Dorne or not, you got to wait to find out, because that's a burn. No, write in and ask us if we like Dorne. I fucking love Dorne. Dorne in the book is fantastic. Show was shitty for Dorne. Book, great for Dorne. I know you don't have to write in to ask that question now, but you could write in for other things, and you should. I'm done now.
All right, good, because this is looking to be our longest episode yet. So,
alrighty, guys, we will catch you on the next one.
Valor de Harris.
Peace.